Okay, students, now we're going to talk about radio buttons. Now, radio buttons may or may not be familiar to some of you. A lot of you play music that you listen to off of your cell phones and so forth, but back many years ago, and still to this day, most radios have buttons so that you can automatically select the stations that you want to listen to. The same idea applies here. Each button is mutually exclusive of the other. So if you were to push one, it pops the others so that they are not active. The only one selected is the one you select at that particular moment. Now you'll notice here I have three buttons: black, blue, red, and I also have this little faint box around all of these buttons. That box that's around it is called a group box, and it is right here in the toolbox. And before you can put any of the radio buttons on, you must pull a group box over and put it in the area. And I'm not going to go too much into this except to say you must have it, and then the text portion of this is what you want to be displayed at the top. In our case, it was colors. So if I wanted something to, say something, I'm just going to type in say something so that you can see that when I press enter, that is displayed at the top of it, and it is right there at the top of the box. Now I'm going to take this one out because I don't want it, and I moved clear up here. In thinking about this, I'm not sure that that's a good idea, but for now I'm going to leave it. When you have a given group box in place, you can then start placing additional things into the text box, in this case radio buttons, and that is right there. And I'm going to grab one and bring it over here. This one is exceedingly hard for me to do tonight, but okay, so I dropped that and it's radio button. And so the text for that is a description of what that particular radio button does. I'm going to put in green in this particular case, and then I'm going to go up here to the top, and I believe I've been calling them RDO, and then the color. Okay, so as I've added that to the thing, you can see this particular thing. I can't quite tell whether it's the right distance from the others, but oops, now it's sideways. That looks a little better. Okay, anyway, all of these are the three that I'd already done, I should say, are in the code, so you can see them. Black, blue, red are already there, and I'm just using the same line that I used for the buttons. mypen.color equals color black. mypen color is color blue. mypen color is color red, and it's just that simple. We're doing the same thing that we would do for a button, only we're doing it for a radio button. Okay, so if I want to put in green here, I just double click the green button and I add in the code for that color. Oops, that's not what I want. Undo, edit, undo. By the way, that URL that you saw there was the URL for the first video I've posted tonight. It is now in the blog. Okay, so Now I put in the color that I want, and now I can go back. I can say start. I can click green, and by the way, notice that if I click one of the others, it becomes the default color. Okay, so, but I'm going to go green, rectangle, and see, I've got a green rectangle. If I go red and I do line, I've got a green line. If I hit blue, rectangle, and the rectangle becomes blue. Actually, I should say is overwritten and becomes blue. Okay, so there is very little to this. Once you've seen the video on the other one, I have instantiated pen to the default color of black. I've taken out these colors that were default for each of the shapes. Refresh is the same. The only thing I've changed here in this particular video is that instead of using regular buttons, I'm using radio buttons. Okay, and again, in order for radio buttons to work, they have to be in a group box. If you don't have them in a group box, they will each operate individually, and they won't be mutually exclusive. Okay, so when you do this, they are mutually exclusive. But if each one of these was outside of a group box, they would each act individually, and they wouldn't they wouldn't be exclusive of each other. Okay, you could essentially turn them all on outside of this particular thing. You have to have the group box around them. I've made the group box in my particular situation large enough that I could add several more colors if I chose to. Now the clear button really ought to be separate from this. I mean, it's not a clear unless, well, if your favorite color is clear. But in this particular case, colors are colors, and clear is a completely separate issue. Okay, so maybe it shouldn't be up here where this is. I could move it to here. That's probably a good idea, so that when I'm running this, close is quite a ways from anything that might be hit by the user. Okay, so if I say red rectangle, in order to hit this is close, and this is clear down here. So from a stylistic point of view, you really should have nothing close to close. Okay. And by the way, for those of you who wonder sometimes why I come down on you a little bit about having a button on the desktop for exit or close or whatever, this is partially why. You want something as far away from the close button as possible, and having a close button on the desktop actually makes it possible for the user potentially to accidentally hit a close or exit button. Plus, the graphical user interface is actually designed so that this should be the only button that closes your form, and part of that is it is designed psychologically so that people know in every single application that this should be the only way out of the particular form or program. So when you add a button on the desktop, there is a slight disconnect psychologically in the design of the form, and it can actually cause a problem with the user. Okay, so it is something to keep in mind. Okay, so that's really all this video shows specifically, and here's the code, and I'm going to upload this one, and then I'm going to quickly do the combo box version of this. Again, not so different. And then you should have several different videos that you can watch for this. And like I said, they can be done various different ways. This is just one way of doing it. You know, a lot of times people just need a way so that they can understand it, but you may not find this as clear as some. I can't help that. I do it the way that I think will be as clear as possible for the majority of people. Okay, so just watch this one, watch the next one, and then we're done for the evening for videos. Have a good evening.